So I want to focus our attention on the Advent the Advent candles, and reaffirm our statement from that's in your bulletin on the second page. So we're lighting and have lit the first candle that represents the shepherds who created an inner sanctuary and were comfortable with the silence. So would you affirm with me this statement? I create an inner sanctuary so I can listen to the voice of God. I am mindful of my thoughts, words, and actions. So we begin today, our first Sunday in Advent, and symbolically we are calling back the light as the days grow darker every day, and then once the solstice hits, the days become longer once again. So we're symbolically calling back the light, but we're also acknowledging the light that dwells within us. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be merging our Christmas story with Barbara Marx Hubbard's book, Emergence. Because really, when we're lighting these candles, we're focusing on the Christ light that dwells within. So our story begins, as it always does, with Mary, who becomes filled with the Holy Spirit and conceives by the Holy Spirit, and rather than shout her good news out to the world, what does she do? She runs and hides. Not hides exactly. She goes off to see her cousin Elizabeth, who is pregnant with John the Baptist, and she stays with Elizabeth until the pregnancy is fully rooted, if you will, in her. And she's with that one person who supports her before she's willing to go back out into the world and to announce to everyone that she is pregnant, and so then she can deal with all the stuff that happens after that. Symbolically and metaphysically, what it means for us is that when we have a new consciousness that's brewing within us, when we have a new idea or a dream, and it isn't fully taken root in us yet, right? It's not really real, maybe. Sometimes when we're in that place and we share it too quickly and with too many people, what happens? It can begin to dissipate, right? It begins to just sort of go away. And so sometimes we need, when we have a new consciousness awakening in us, or a dream or an idea, sometimes it's important that we hold it still within ourselves so that it fully takes root, and we have a prayer partner or someone who sees it with us so it can come to full fruition. So the second step then in that story is the shepherds. Now, Barbara Marx Hubbard encourages us to create an inner sanctuary. In the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about, how we have an altar at home, whether it be a special chair or a special room or a special corner, so that we can feel the presence of God, so that we can feel that essence. And so the inner sanctuary then is what the shepherds created, didn't they? I mean, they were out in the fields by night. It doesn't get much quieter than that, just being outside and under the stars. And they were watching the sheep, which symbolically represents watching our thoughts, meditating, and just kind of directing those. So we have created that inner sanctuary. And when we create that inner sanctuary, then we're open to guidance. We're open to the voices of angels. We're open to spirit. And for the shepherds, the angels came and said, "Glory be to the highest, and on earth goodwill to all men. I bring you good news that will create great joy for all the people." And of course, it was to the awakening of the divine within. So our focus today is on uniting the human with the divine. Now, Jesus lived it masterfully. He never forgot nor never lived out of anything but his Christedness. He was always in that place, and he became a living example for us so that we could follow in his footsteps. He was in the world, but not of it. Now, the truth is, so are we. From an Eastern perspective, our path, our spiritual path that we're on, would be called that of a householder. Now, a sannyasin is someone who gives things up and maybe lives in an ashram or a monastery. And the truth is, in some ways, that's easier, isn't it? I used to live in an ashram. I mean, I woke up to a bell, I meditated to a bell, I ate to a bell. I didn't have to deal with the world. I wasn't out, working or dealing with traffic or dealing with all the worldly things. I was able to surrender and be in this sannyasin place. But the truth is, we're not sannyasins here. We are householders. And the definition of a householder is someone who is on the spiritual path, who has a spiritual practice and seeking spirit, and lives in the world, right? Is that who you are? So it means you have a job, you have a relationship possibly, you have to pay your bills, you have to pay your rent, you drive in traffic. And one of the dangers, and one of the reasons it said that the householder is the most difficult path, is because it's so easy, or it can be easy to get lost in the world. We can get lost in materialism, and we forget to be in the world but not of it. What happens? We jump into the world with both feet, right? And we were like, this is real. We totally get attached to it and connected to it, and we forget our true identity. Sri Chinmoy said this about uniting the human and the divine. Humans, the human part of us, wants to discover the light, but the divine in us wants to reveal the light. You feel the difference? The human wants to find the light. It seeks the light. But the divine in us just needs to reveal the light, because that's who we are. The human in us wants to discover the light in others, but the divine knows that it's already there. So we're seeking to behold the Christ in each other, and the truth is, it's already there. The human in us cries for success, but the divine in us wants progress that is entirely founded upon giving, and self-giving is the precursor of God becoming. So the human in us wants success, but the divine in us recognizes that we're giving through the source of God within us. And it also means that we not only give out to the world, but we also give back to ourselves. So I shared earlier that I had for 6 days between 5 and 7 house guests for Thanksgiving. I had 17 people for Thanksgiving dinner, and I love it. I love the whole cooking and preparing and stuff, but 6 days is a long time. It's a lot of breakfasts to make, it's a lot of dishes to do, it's a lot of keeping track of everything. And I find, so I love to serve, and for me it really helps connect with God. I just love to serve. But the truth is, I can overserve. Anybody relate to that, where you overserve? Yep, see some hands go up there. And what happens when you overserve? Don't you kind of get a little resentful maybe, like, hey, how long are they staying again? And what I recognized when I could feel that coming up in me, because the truth is I loved having everybody there, was that I needed to serve myself. That I couldn't expect them to figure out how to serve me, but I needed to serve myself. So when they went off to Pike's Market or the Space Needle, I just said, you know what, I'm just going to stay home. And I'm going to be quiet. And I'm going to be here in the silence, because that's how I can best be served in all of this. So in that serving, recognize that it's not just you being an instrument through which you serve others, but that you're also needing to serve oneself. And who knows what you need better than you do, right? I mean, you know what you need, and you know what you want. When we believe that we are only human, we don't have very high expectations. We live in a small place. And when coming from a purely human perspective, we perceive limitation in what we do and in what's available. And the truth is that when we unite the human and divine, and when we act from that place, not only are we willing to give, but acts of kindness become normal, natural. So how many of you saw the story about the New York policeman this week? So a young New York policeman, it was very cold, and he had two pairs of socks on and some really good boots, and he said his feet were still cold. And he noticed that there was a homeless man sitting outside, and the homeless man had no socks and no shoes. So he went up to him and he said, "Where are your socks and shoes?" And the old man said, "I don't have any, but thank you, officer. God bless you. I'm fine." So the officer went across the street to a shoe store, asked him his shoe size 12, and he came back with socks and a nice pair of boots. And somebody happened to be walking by, probably with their phone, and took a picture of it and put it on their Facebook. And here is this New York cop on his knees in front of this homeless man, putting socks on him and giving him shoes. That's the connection of the human and the divine, the acts of kindness that sporadically and spontaneously come from us. So it's not, the odd thing, it's the true thing. Sometimes a voice or an act of kindness comes unbidden and unexpectedly. So I wrestle with writer's block. I really wrestle with it. And one time, Richard Levy and I were talking about writing sermons and that process and what it's like for each of us. So I said, "So what's it like for you?" And he said, "Wow," he said, "I can't wait to hear what I'm going to say next. I can't wait to hear what I'm going to write next." And I said, "Really? I mean, really, that's your process, that you're so excited about what you're thinking and going to say next that you just can't wait?" And he goes, "Yes." And I said, "I have the opposite experience. I mean, I just really work and go through it, and it doesn't come as natural." And so this morning, I get up at 4 on Sunday so that I'm fully awake by 9 o'clock. Otherwise, I'd be going, "Huh? What? Coffee?" So this morning, I'm sitting, with the talk, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking, it's just not quite there. And then I got an email. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was an email from a Reverend Jill Honadell. She's a Episcopalian minister in Martinez, California. And her email said, "Dear Reverend Karen, I want to thank you for your delightful and meaningful sermons and for putting them on YouTube. Just by happenstance, I ran across one and was appreciative of your style, depth, and variety of sources, and it's obvious that your ministry is wonderful and loving." And I thought, wow, that... May we all, when we're having an experience of writer's block, get an email like that. Really. So I emailed her right back, and I said, "You have no idea how you are the voice of God for me right now in this moment, how God is using and speaking through you." And so we've actually been corresponding a little bit back and forth since then. I think there's no stronger place when we know whether the human and the divine are truly united within us, except when we are faced with the death of ourselves, an upcoming, or the death of a loved one. That's where the rubber meets the road, doesn't it? Because we can say we believe in all kinds of things, but boy, when we hit that wall of, guess what? Then it's like, okay, do I really believe that I'm a divine being in a human body and that I still live, that I still exist once I lay this down? So many of you know Ed Bender, one of our members in his 70s, made his transition a couple of weeks ago. And he came to see me. He was diagnosed with cancer, and he decided he wasn't going to do any of the chemo, he wasn't going to do anything. And he came to see me in May, and he said, "Karen, this is what's going on, and you need to know that I'm probably not going to be here by Christmas. My guess is it'll be over by Christmas." And we met like every other week, and we talked, and it was never sad. It was never really sad. We talked about his life and his childhood and, his beliefs and his thoughts. But when I asked him, I said, "So Ed, where do you think we go? Where are we going? Where are you going?" And he said, "Karen, I don't know, but I know that we continue on. We have to. We just have to." And we had the most fun conversations these last 6 months, than we had had. And I have to say, I've never seen him more joyful or happy than he's been. And part of it is because that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Are we human and are we divine or not? Because that's when we really get tested with that. So I've asked if you would bring journals. How many of you brought a journal or something to write in? And again, you're free not to do this, but our ushers are going to come forward and they have writing materials. I just have one statement that I would like you to write about. And if you would like paper, there is some in the pews in front of you. There is some pencils, but if you would like, our ushers will get it for you. Now, the reason that I'm asking you to do some writing during the service is I recognize how busy we all are, and sometimes it's just not so easy to do these kinds of things and to think these. And I believe it really anchors it in. It's kind of like Mary and her pregnancy, right? It's like anchoring in that awareness. And of course, you are free to just sit and listen and just take it within. So what I'd like you to do, Barbara Marx Hubbard in her book Emergence talks about a place called the Rose Chamber. And the Rose Chamber is that place where we are connected to the divine and the human. So I would invite you just to close your eyes for a moment. And take a couple of breaths. The human may want to discover the light, but the divine wants to reveal the light. Touch the divine in you that wants to reveal the light that you are. And here's your start line. When the human and the divine are united in me, I. When the human and the divine are united in me, I. When the human and the divine are united in me, and just allow yourself to write whatever comes up. There are no right or wrong answers. When the human and the divine are united in me, I. And then take a moment to finish the sentence that you're working on. When the human and the divine are united in me, I. Okay, so I shared an example of when the human and divine are united, acts of kindness, like a policeman buying socks and shoes for a homeless person, receiving an email at about the right time. So I would like to hear, and I have a microphone, I would like to hear what you've written. When the human and the divine, if you would read it, when the human and the divine are united in me, who would like it?
I remember who I really am, an instrument of peace, using my physical body to communicate love.
Nice. Thank you.
I am joyous, happy, and free, living the miraculous, ever present to the divine nature of each and every person and at each and every situation. All is well.
When the human and the divine are united in me,
I am in balance without fear. I know what to do. My path is clear. I am not confused. I experience the highest fulfillment, a welling of love and experience of unlimited love.
anybody on this side? When the human and the divine are united in me, I.
You know, I was going to ask the chaplains to pray with me after service today because I broke my clavicle recently, and I've been unemployed for quite a while.
When the human and divine are united in me, I.
So I found this in the pew in front of me.
Okay.
It was a person who had been sitting here previously, answered, when the human and divine are united in me, I will be healthier and happier and willing to follow without fear my hopes and dreams.
Wow, so that's like my email this morning. It was perfect. Somebody over here had their hand up. When the human and divine are united in me, I
accept that the love I sought might have been grooming me for a love I never could have imagined.
Wow, very nice. And we'll do one more over here. When the human and divine are united in me,
I feel a peace and joy beyond description, and I wish it for everyone.
Nice. Nice. Okay, one more. When the human and divine are united in me, I
feel of service and an instrument of God's joy and peace in the world.
Thank you. All right, one more. When the human and divine are united in me,
My joy and love is free.
Your joy and love is free. My joy and love, spoken from the mouths of children. We're going to move forward. So I'd like you to share those with each other if you feel so called to do. So let Advent be a reminder that the divine is within us, revealing the light. Not that we are trying to grab the light and get it in us, but the light is already within us, and it is revealing itself. When we create an inner sanctuary, we are open to the voice of guidance. We are open to the voice of angels. I bring you good news of great joy. So the Christmas story continues next week. And next week we'll be focusing on the wise men and the star and the journey and the part of our story that means that we don't walk it alone, that we walk with companions, we walk with people of like minds. So we're all householders. We're all householders, and that's not the easiest of paths because we are living in the world of paying bills and mortgages and rent. We are living in the world of jobs and relationships and traffic, and yet we are also living in the world of spirit. To be in the world but not of it, to be human and divine. So in closing, let's affirm our Advent statement one more time. I create an inner sanctuary so I can listen to the voice of God. I am mindful of my thoughts, words, and actions. And may we truly live the human and the divine in our lives. So it is.
Yeah.